All right, here we go. Today we have former #1 draft pick Joe Smith, who played with the NBA for 16 years. He recently set the internet on fire when his wife Kisha posted an argument they had when he found out she secretly started an OnlyFans page. When I usually interview a new person, I start from the very beginning, but in this case, I have to address the current situation first, and then I'll go back and start in the beginning of your story. So, Joe, welcome to Vlad TV.
Oh, man, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. And congratulations on a really dope career, man. 16 years in the NBA is something very few people could ever do, and you did that.
Oh, man, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about your relationship with Kisha first. Mm-hmm. So you guys met around 2012?
Yeah, the BET Awards after party out in Los Angeles.
Okay. And what happened in the beginning when you first met?
When I first met her, we met, like I said, at the after party. The very next night, it was still, some functions going on. So I saw her the next night out at another function. We met up and, just hung out a little bit there. After that, about the next couple of days, we were in contact with each other by phone and, just building up a relationship and, me learning about her, her learning about me. And I actually, after the first night that we met is when I found out, what she did before. And never looked at her any different, never thought of her any different. But I already knew what she was, what she did before we even met and, before she even told me.
I mean, I'm an adult film guy. Have you actually seen her scenes before you guys met and everything else like that? Or that's not really your thing?
No, I hadn't. That's why I said I've never seen her scenes. And I just Googled her after we met, and that's what came up.
Okay. So she has a former career doing adult films under the name Yasmin Pendavis.
Correct.
Okay, but at the time, I guess she was living in Germany and she was pursuing a singing career.
She had when we met, she had just came back from Germany. She was just came back from Germany, like I said, living in LA at the time, staying in LA at the time before we met, probably a few weeks before we met. And when we met, things happened real quick. Things happened very, very quick. And I would say a week or two after we met, we were pretty much staying together, living together. And, the relationship was just growing from then on. But yeah, she was in Germany for a while doing her singing and came back to the States to continue to pursue her singing. And, that's one of the main common things that we had in common back then, because I was doing my music as well. So that's something that we really had in common, and that's something that we really clicked doing.
Okay, and at the time you had just left the NBA, so your money situation wasn't what it was a few years previously. And so you guys started dating. Was, their money situations kind of from the very beginning, or did it kind of get progressively worse over the time?
Progressively worse. I mean, I had actually just came out of my first divorce, out of a divorce right after I retired. So that took a lot of it. But I was still able to, live, function, and, do a lot of the things that I wanted to do at that time. But it kind of dwindled, throughout the years and put us in a tough situation to where we are now.
Okay, and you guys got married in 2018?
Correct.
Okay, and what made you get married? Because, a lot of times when men get older, they've been through a divorce, they already have kids, they just want to date and kind of keep things a little more casual. But you took it to the next step.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the type of person that, when I find someone, that, I really can feel like I can trust, feel like I have a bond with, someone I feel like, I can share things with, I feel like why not take it to the next level? And it was a conversation that we had for years. It wasn't like something that just happened, right overnight. It was a conversation that we had for years. And at first I was hesitant. And After a couple more years, of being with her and being around her, I was like, why not?
Was there any flack at all from your family or your friends considering her adult film background at all?
That's one thing about my family. Unless I come to them with an issue or with a problem, they really try to, stay to themselves and mind their business. Unless it's something that's like this that erupts over, that blows up around the world, then I get the phone calls. But other than that, man, they just let me live, let me learn, and let me figure things out. But when I really need them, I can go to them with no problem.
Okay, and you have how many kids?
6.
6 kids.
Uh-huh.
Does she have any kids?
Yes, she has a daughter.
She has a daughter?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you guys both have families, so you guys have no kids together, though?
No.
Was there any plans of having a new baby, or not really?
No, I think we're past that stage. It never came up, and I don't think neither one of us are looking to, have any more kids.
Okay, so we fast forward to 2022. According to her, the money problems still lingered.
Mm-hmm.
So she went and started an OnlyFans page on her own a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the time, you had no idea.
Correct.
Okay. But then, just recently, things blew up.
Right.
So, explain to me exactly how you found out about her OnlyFans page.
She was actually on it, on her phone, and I was walking by and I seen her on it. Seen, flicking through the pictures and it kind of caught me off guard. So I asked her about it at that time. And it was a conversation, even before she started recording, we was having a conversation about it. We were talking about it. And then all of a sudden I turned around and she's recording me. But that was the same day that I was just walking through the house. We're just having a normal day. And I'm walking through the house and, I'd look over and see her on the phone and see what's displayed on the phone. And so it ticked me off.
Well, according to her, because she's done a few interviews, she said that you were talking to some girl and the girl went and found her OnlyFans page and told you about it.
No. No. I mean, like I hear a lot of things in these interviews, and what's really upsetting me is how she tried to use certain things to try to justify her actions. And that's definitely didn't happen. I mean, it happened. I caught her on it, in the process of, I don't know, sending photos or whatever, the process is up there. But that's what happened.
Right, because in that same interview, it was the Morning Hustle, which I think you did an interview with them as well.
Correct.
She said something to the point of, oh, well, he was talking to some other girl, and how come he didn't tell me about her? Because I'm into girls too. We could have done something together.
No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Okay, well, couples have arguments. That's very regular. I don't know any couples that have a smooth relationship where there's not some hiccups along the way, and sometimes tempers flare and so forth. But the thing that bothered me about watching this video was that she was taping a marriage argument, which in the beginning, it didn't seem like you had any idea that she was doing this.
Correct. And that's what ticked me off even more. I mean, because like I said on the Morning Hustle, I'm a very private person, private individual. And I feel whatever issues we have going on in our house, just stay in the house. And when I turn around and see her see her recording me as we're supposed to be discussing, this OnlyFans situation, it really ticked me off because I don't like my business out in the streets like that, especially something between myself and my wife. So it's been a rough road, and just it was not just embarrassing, but it really ticked me off because she knows that.
Right, because to me, that seemed like the bigger violation. Like, I'm very private also.
Correct.
You know, as you are. I don't see you all on Instagram. Oh, I'm at dinner. Oh, here I am with my kids.
Yeah.
No, like you're a private person as I am. I keep my relationships and my family very private.
Right.
And I'm never around anyone who does this type of, you know, taping and stuff like that. The thing that also bothered me was she wasn't live streaming. She was just taping on her phone.
To post.
And then later on went and posted it. So it's not like, oh, I didn't know who was watching. It was like she taped it. You know, well, she knows that you didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, against your wishes, she still posted that. What happened? I mean, I'm assuming you're telling her, don't post that. And then she goes and posts it anyways?
I mean, after the whole situation, I walked out of the conversation, as you see in the end of the video. And from that point on, I didn't have anything else. I really didn't have anything else to say to her, and I really didn't think she would post that. Like I said, after that, I went back home for a little while, spent some time with my family, and that's when I started getting bombarded with, you know, messages and phone calls and direct messages and all types of stuff about what's going on, and it's just been crazy.
Right, because had that video not been released, there's a reasonable chance that she could have kept on with her OnlyFans and no one would have made that connection between the two of you.
Right.
She already had it for a year. So what's to say she could have had it for 3-4 more years without anyone kind of putting this on blast? It was her that sort of exposed the whole situation.
The entire situation. And like you said, if it was if that was the case, we could have, you know, continued to talk back and forth inside the house until we came up with a resolution on our own. But I guess she felt she had to invite the world in to kind of be on her side or kind of see what she has going on. But I mean, it's frustrating, it's disappointing, and it's hurtful. I mean, I feel, you know, totally disrespected by that.
You know, the first thing that people said when they saw this was, oh, this is a skit or a publicity stunt in order to get her OnlyFans popping. They're both in on it. And then once they make $1 million, they'll like reveal that it's just a big joke. But I'm not getting that vibe right now.
No, that's not what happened, and that's not what's going on right now. I mean, it's a real issue. And the video hurt, but then also the fact that, you know, the way I had to find out about the OnlyFans page, you know, that's another thing on top of it that hurts as well. So I wouldn't put my business out in the streets. I wouldn't put nothing like this out in the streets unless it was, you know, real official. And I didn't do this one, so it's hurting, it's hurtful, and I got to listen to people, you know, opinions every day, all day right now about my relationship. And that's something I never wanted to be involved in.
Well, her argument was, it's my body, my choice. You knew what I was doing when you got with me. But during these years of marriage and all the years of dating, was she doing any sort of adult film activities at all? No. It was music and the businesses that she's currently running, from bartending, dog care businesses, and other businesses that she has going on right now. But there was nothing porn related or XXX related going on. Well, she said something a little jarring during the interview with Morning Hustle. She said that she has a video of both of you doing something explicit.
Mm-hmm.
And she started an OnlyFans account on your behalf. And she has a picture of you with your driver's license, which allowed her to actually make that account official. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they mentioned it on the Morning Hustle as well.
So is there an OnlyFans account with actual intercourse of some sort between the two of you?
No. If there is an OnlyFans account in my name, then it's the one that I created, and there's no nothing up there. no videos, no pictures, nothing. And that was just to figure out and see what she had going on her page. But no, we don't. We have videos, personal videos, but nothing out in the public, no.
To all the men out there, I don't care how much you love her. I don't care how close y'all are. Don't film yourself. This is something I've been pretty good about my whole life, that unfortunately, in the way this world works, even if it's on your own private phone, people hack into iClouds, videos get passed around, and then suddenly you're wondering whether something very private is going to get blasted on the internet. You know what I mean? So yeah. I understand. It's your wife. You guys have your own relationship, but I just think this is a lesson for everyone listening to this, that even if it's your wife, even if y'all have an agreement, you could have a situation like this where suddenly things break up and now you're worried that she might go and post this online and start not only exposing you, but making money off you and everything else like that. And the way she's describing it, it's not even revenge porn because there's a picture of you with a driver's license, and it's a little scary, to be honest.
It's very scary. I mean, if that's what, because I haven't seen any other page with my name besides the one I made. So if that's the case, that's very scary. And that's something like I've always protected myself from, even throughout my basketball career. Always protected my image and, try to keep a, clean nose, and anything I go through, try to keep it as private as possible. And so if a video comes out or anything like that, believe me, it'll be something that she will definitely have to take down right away.
Well, like you said, after all this happened, you left the house.
Correct.
So where are you living right now?
I went back to Virginia for a while. Then I came back. I had to do the morning hustle and the other day, so I've been staying in a hotel since then.
Yeah, that's sad, man. I'm sorry to hear that. The fact that you have to leave your own house.
Yeah.
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 Now, the two of you have not talked at all.
No.
At some point, though, you are married. So at some point, you have to talk.
Yeah, I agree. We definitely going to have to talk and, try to get this thing squared away or fixed or whatever is going to happen. But like I said, I really don't want to, because I haven't seen any remorse in none of the videos, not even any understanding from my standpoint in none of her interviews. And I just don't want to talk because, I feel like it's just going to erupt and be an argument that I don't want to have at this time.
If you were to get back together with her, would one of the conditions be you have to take down that OnlyFans?
I mean, the fact that she has the OnlyFans doesn't even really bother me. It was just the fact that she was doing it behind my back, never told me. Then when I asked her about it, how she went about it by recording our conversation and putting that out, for the public viewing. So it's not even the fact that she has the OnlyFans page. Like she said, nobody's touching her and things like that. So it's not even a fact about that. But I am pissed off about, being kept in the dark, and then, you videoing me and putting me out on social media and all over the world right now. So that's what really got me ticked off.
I mean, had she had a conversation with you a year ago and said, look, baby, our money's tight right now. You don't have a whole lot coming in. My other businesses aren't really bringing in money, like she had mentioned. Mm-hmm. I want to start an OnlyFans. It's going to be solo. There's not going to be any men. It's just me making OnlyFans money, and we'll split the money together. It'll just go back in our household. Would you have said yes or no?
I'd have been like, okay. I'd been like, okay. Because, like, one thing I know I've learned throughout my life, throughout my career is that, people, we all go through things. We all have to do some things that we might not want to, in order to, keep a roof over your head, keep food on the table, and keep the bills paid, So At that time, the way things were going, I would have been a lot more understanding.
You know, she's doing a bunch of interviews, like you said. The most recent one is with Cameron on It Is What It Is.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Can I show it to you?
Sure.
I have a moving company called Major Movers and Cleaning. And then I also have a massage business called the Body Rub Babes.
Nice. Do the Body Rub Babes travel?
Yes, they do.
Are you one of the Body Rub Babes?
Well, I have been, but now I kind of like, I'm kind of
Could you
nervous to do anything.
But if I wanted you to be one of my Body Rub Babes, like, would you be a Body Rub Babe for me?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Because I don't mean to be a professional or anything like that, but I can't stop looking at your cleavage. Your cleavage is popping, babe. No, you can leave it how it was, man. You can leave it exactly how it was, man. Right now I'm thinking about cleavage and the Body Rub Babes, but don't cover her. It's cool.
It's like,
Yeah, babe.
Cameron being Cameron. That's still your wife. I mean, seeing that, does that bother you at all?
It bothers me a lot. I mean, not just saying that, but the messages that I get from people who actually went to her OnlyFans page and, they send me on Instagram or Facebook, talking about how my wife looks and how my wife, what my wife, kind of pictures my wife got up. And so, I mean, that's my first time hearing it vocally from someone, but I've been seeing it all week.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry you're going through this. Because I guess the most shocking part of this is that you told me that had you guys just talked about it a year ago, you would have just been, all right, go for it.
Right.
And now we're here over a situation that could have been addressed and smoothed out.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. I mean, at this point, do you feel like you're getting divorced, or do you think there's still a chance you guys can work it out?
I'm not 100% sure yet. I mean, I went back and I was talking it over with my family, and, they ultimately, everyone has advice and everyone has an opinion. But I really want to see how the sit down with Kisha and I goes when we sit down and, discuss this thing again. And, we'll see after that conversation, see how that goes.
Well, I'm just going to say this. A lot of people are going to have an opinion about this, okay? And I know there's the public embarrassment part and, there's the interviews and everything else like that. But every marriage and every relationship is unique. And other people's opinion about what you should do doesn't matter. It's between you and her. You and her are the only ones that have to spend that time together.
Right.
The people that have an opinion will pop in and pop out. So you guys need to work it out. What's best for you, what's best with your family, what's best for your future, what's best for all of your children, whether that means therapy, whether that means long conversations, maybe taking some time apart, or maybe even breaking up. But ultimately, every relationship is unique. And all these relationships that you see on the internet that look perfect, whether it's Magic Johnson or Steve Harvey or whoever else, there is a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that you don't get to see that's, even worse than some of the stuff that you may be going through.
Right.
But you don't get to see it because it's not blasted all over the internet, but they still have to deal with it.
Right.
So I just want you to have an open mind going forward and not have everyone kind of determine what your final solution is, because it's something you and her have to live with.
Right.
And that's all I want to say about that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Well, let's start in the very beginning. Born and raised in Norfolk, Virginia.
Yes, sir.
Now, your parents weren't married, so you took your mom's last name?
Yes, my mom was married before meeting my dad, and I have from that marriage I have 6 brothers and sisters, and after their divorce, that's when she met my dad, and they called me a mistake baby because I was, born. She was like 38, 39 years old when I was born, so at that time, women weren't having babies at that age. So they called me a mistake baby. My brothers and sisters called me a mistake baby.
Well, why not take your dad's last name if you know who your dad is?
Actually, it wasn't my decision. It was, I guess, done at birth, and I never thought about, changing it because all my brothers and sisters had Smith. My mom had Smith, and I was a Smith.
Did you have a relationship with your dad?
Yeah. Had a relationship. My dad spent some summers with him. He actually lived up in Oxon Hill, Maryland when I was a kid. So I spent some summers up there with him and my twin sisters up there. And, whenever he came down to visit my grandmother, his mom that lived in Norfolk, he'd make sure he came by to, spend some time with me when he was in town.
I mean, when you talk about that area in Virginia, I mean, that's 20 minutes away from Virginia Beach, which
Right.
is where the Clips are from.
Right.
So you always hear these stories from Pusha T about all the drugs and all the violence and everything else like that.
Yes, sir.
In terms of the way you grew up, late 80s, early 90s,
Mhm.
did you experience any of this or did you kind of keep away from it all?
I witnessed it, but I stayed away from it. My mom, she was one of the nicest ladies in the world, but she was strict as a mug. So, she would, anything that got me in trouble, I would definitely try to stay away from. But, you definitely witness it. Just coming out of the house, going up and down the street, going to the basketball court, you witness all types of things, from drugs to fights to, people holding guns, shootouts at night. Some couple times I had to hide under my bed because they shooting outside the house. So, I mean, you witness it all, but I think my brothers and sisters, my older brothers and sisters and my mom, they did a hell of a job of keeping me away from that.
Yeah, because you could have gone a very, very different path in your life had you gotten caught up with that.
Exactly. Could have been a total, and I've seen it. I mean, we have so much talent in our area in sports that kind of got caught up in that lifestyle and got caught up out there in the streets that didn't make it and wasn't able to go to college, and that is amazing. It's amazing, and they always call out our town like a hidden jewel because we have so much talented players, athletes down there that a lot more are making it now, but back then it wasn't like that.
So when did you actually pick up a basketball and start taking it seriously?
When I was about 7, 8 years old. I wasn't taking it serious at that time. I was just, out there with the boys, with the fellas, having fun, playing the game of basketball. At that time, actually, football was my first love. And I played Little League football for a while, and in between, I would play basketball, but during the off season. But football was my first love, all the way up until high school when I had my growth spurt. So that's when I had to decide. My mom was like, "You got to make your decision right now: football or basketball." And I don't think you're ready for no more football because you're too tall now. So I ended up choosing basketball, and that led me to where I am.
Right, because you're 6'9", right?
Yeah.
When did you have your growth spurt? Like by your senior year in high school, were you the same height or a little bit shorter?
I had my growth spurt between my freshman and sophomore year. Over the summer, I grew 5 inches.
Damn.
So I went from like 6'2" to like 6, came back my sophomore year about 6'7".
Okay. Now, were you in the McDonald's All-American? Because I looked around and couldn't find you in there.
Yeah, no, I did. I was in the McDonald's. That's the thing about it. Like, coming out of high school, I wasn't one of those highly recruited guys. But when I got to Maryland, I really bust my butt and bust my tail to improve my game. We was picked last in the ACC when I first got to Maryland, and I've never been on a team that lost that much, even in high school. Our high school team was pretty good, so I'm like, we're not going to be last in the ACC. So, we just bust our butt as a team. I really bust my butt to change my game a lot for the college level, and that's when it all kind of took off right there.
Right, and before that, you were actually playing with Allen Iverson in AAU games.
Yeah, we grew up together on the court. So, my first year at AAU, I actually got cut. So, I say about 13 years old, we started playing. It was the outdoor courts for Boo Williams. And then we both was on the travel team, and we started traveling and actually won the 17 and under national championship down in Winston-Salem when we were 17s. And all the way up till he got into that unfortunate incident, at the bowling alley. We were neck and neck, same year, neck and neck in our town. Had an epic high school basketball game, his high school against our high school, standing room only. And it was they beat us by 2, but it was an epic game.
Right. You weren't actually there during that whole bowling alley incident.
No, I wasn't there.
You heard about it, though, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, he lived on the other side of the way. He's from Newport News side, and I'm from the Norfolk side. And if anybody's familiar with the area, Newport News is like on the other side of the water through the tunnel. So it's about maybe a 15, 20-minute, separation between us.
Any crazy stories with you and Allen during that era? Because he was, because Allen Iverson had a lot of crazy stories during the course of his career, even starting from the bowling alley incident that you're talking about in high school.
I mean, not during that era. I mean, he was always a jokester. So, I mean, on trips, I mean, you just really had to be aware of where he was at all times on our road trips, even in the locker room, because he always liked to come around and play jokes. So you always had to just be aware of where he was at all times.
Okay, well, like you said, you went to Maryland, and I believe your sophomore year, you became a College Player of the Year.
Yes.
At Maryland. So you really became a beast on that court. You averaged 20.8 points a game, 10.6 rebounds. You were the AP NCAA All-America team. You're scoring 40 points sometimes. And actually, you guys beat Duke 94-92.
In Duke.
With your shot.
At the buzzer, yeah. At
the buzzer. How did it feel? Because Duke is like the most loved and most hated team in America, I feel.
If I was a player that never had a buzzer beater, that'd be the place that I would want it. Because those fans, they get after you for 40 minutes. And to be able to shut them up at the end of the game, that's something, that's real special. And it was, back then, it was pretty much, the ACC was very deep. It was us at Maryland, North Carolina, Rasheed Wallace, Jerry Stackhouse, and those guys. Duke had a great team. Florida State had a great team. Wake Forest had Tim Duncan and Randolph Childress and those guys. So it was very competitive every night. So for us to be able to go out and at the end of that season end up as one of the best teams in the ACC, that was something that was special. That was special for us because of the work that we had to put into it. Like I said, I wasn't one of the highly recruited guys coming out of high school. So for me to be able to become Player of the Year in 2 years, that just shows how much work I had to put into it.
So why did you leave college after 2 years as opposed to waiting another year or two?
First, I was projected to be one of the top 3 picks in the draft that year. Secondly, my family, my family situation, wanted a better lifestyle for my family, wanted to do more things for my mom, and wanted them to, live a better lifestyle. And like I say, being projected as a top 3 pick, that's something you can stick around and hope to be a guaranteed number 1 pick, but that's something you really can't pass up. We played the game, at that time, we played the game to become an NBA player. That was everybody's goal. That's everybody's goal to play the game. And when you have it sitting right there in front of you and, you know that you're good enough to go to that level and compete, then, why not?
Okay, so you were predicted to be a top 3 NBA draft pick.
Uh-huh.
But then when you enter the draft, you actually get number 1. What was the chaos that occurred in your living room when you were picked as the number 1 NBA draft pick of 1995?
They actually had us in the green room. And the draft, it was the year I got drafted was Toronto Raptors' first year. So the draft was actually in Toronto. And we all sitting in the green room, who they feel are going to be the top 13 picks. lottery picks. We're all sitting in the green room, and Golden State, the commissioner comes up and put Golden State on the clock, 5 minutes on the clock to make their decision. And as they're on the clock, man, I'm just back there nervous. You know, I'm looking around at everybody's face, all the players, and everybody's looking the same, you know, some, you know, mingling with their family, but I couldn't even say nothing. I'm just sitting there nervous, my hands crossed over my face, you know, it's just waiting to see who's going to be called. Because our draft was pretty deep, and anybody could have been number one that year. And once they finally came back, the commissioner came back and said the Golden State Warriors chose Joe Smith. You know, I looked over at my mom, and she was sunk down in her chair, you know, praying, thanking God. And I had to, like, she was almost on the floor, sunk down so deep. So when I bent down to give her a hug, I almost had to fall on the floor with her. But, I mean, it was just a great moment. I looked over, saw my sister's face, saw the joy on my sister's face, my uncle's face, and my agent at the time. And, I mean, it was just a special moment, man, and something that we all worked for, and something that not too many of us can claim.
Well, yeah, you got picked over Kevin Garnett, Rasheed Wallace, Jerry Stackhouse, and a whole bunch of really top-notch players.
Yeah, Antonio McDyess. I mean, a lot of people don't give him credit, but Antonio McDyess was a monster as well. He went number 2 that draft. So, I mean, our draft was pretty deep. Damon Stoudemire, Sean Respert. Like, we had a pretty good draft.
Okay, so now you get drafted for the Golden State Warriors. Your first deal was $8.5 million over 3 years?
I think it was 9 over 3 years. Yeah.
9 million. I was close. Okay, 9 million over 3 years. So here you are, a poor kid growing up in Virginia.
Right.
And now you're a millionaire.
Overnight.
literally overnight. But you have no financial training. You don't come from a wealthy family that knows how to invest.
Right.
You've probably never paid taxes up to this point.
Right.
You know, it's, as someone who's had money and lost it all and had to get it back up again, I understand how easy it is to really just think that the money will just keep coming forever.
Right.
So in the beginning, when you first got that check, what did you start spending money on?
First thing I bought was my mom a house back in Virginia. That was the first thing I bought. I had a couple vehicles, Mercedes. At that time, I had a white Land Cruiser. That's that I started with. And a couple years later, after you know, I stacked a little bit, saved up a little bit. That's when I was able to, you know, finally buy myself a home in the Bay Area. Before I got traded from, the Warriors, I, you know, bought a home there, thinking that I was going to be there long term. But it was mostly the houses and, you know, vehicles. I had a few pieces of jewelry. I wasn't a big jewelry guy, but I had a few pieces of jewelry. You know, that I got right off the bat, but it wasn't too much jewelry. It was basically the home and the cars. But when you're making $9 million or $3 million a year, after taxes 1.5, you know, that adds up.
Well, it's even less than that because first you got the 9 million, and then what percentage does like the agents take and so forth? Is it 20%?
No, they take between 2 and 4 at that time.
Okay, so 2 and 4%, that's off the top. And then you're in the highest tax bracket, which is like a 50% tax bracket.
Right.
So after you subtract that, then you got the money that's left. And then, you know, you bought your mom a house.
Right.
You bought these cars. You're buying this jewelry. Then you buy yourself a house. Now, you understand that the NBA, although you think you're going to play for a team forever, like a Steph Curry,
right,
you could be traded the next day.
At that time, I didn't understand the business like that as far as trades, how the trade goes. That was my second year in the league. But I eventually learned quick, but I didn't know how the business of the trade went. Thought I was going to be with the Warriors, like you say, for a while. I was putting up pretty good numbers out there. My first 2 years, I was, having great seasons. And something happened and they decided to kind of just blow the team up. And
Well, right. I just want to say, when you started with them, you had Tim Hardaway on the team, Chris
Right.
Mullin, Latrell Sprewell. By the second year, you started all 82 games.
right.
You made the NBA All-Rookie first team. You were doing your thing on the team.
Right.
I remember you told a story about how the first time you actually played Chicago, Dennis Rodman did some inappropriate stuff on the field.
It was the amount of times he did it. Yeah, Dennis, we all know kind of the stories about, what you hear about Dennis Rodman and how he likes to kind of get under your skin and aggravate you a little bit. But I'm just a young kid coming into the league, so I hear the stories, but I don't think he's going to bother me with it. I think it may have been my second year in the league or my rookie year, one of the two. I'm like, oh yeah, we just gonna go out here and play. So the game is going on, and I come out, I'm having a good game, so I score, make a move, score. And as I'm going back down court, he comes back down and smacked me on the butt. It's like, good move, young fella. So I'm like, okay, I got props from Dennis Rodman. Yeah, cool. So then I get a rebound and outlet it or something, and he'll do it again. Like, he just started doing it for just random occasions now. So I'm like, yo, what is wrong with this guy? Why he keep smacking me on the butt? I'm not on his team. So we going up and down all game long. I score, he'll smack me on the butt. I get a rebound, he smack me on the butt. I'm like, so this is what they mean when they mean Dennis Rodman do things to try to get up under your skin. But it didn't, I'm young, I didn't know what to say, so I didn't say anything, but I guess he realized that it didn't rattle me, so he didn't bother me with it the next time we played.
What was it like to play Jordan during that game?
It was awesome. Because, you hear about Chicago and, how they're able to turn things on and off throughout the course of a season. But during that game, I think we were up in the first half by like 20. And in the third quarter, it's like they hit a light, they hit a switch. And in the third quarter, they came out and cut the lead so quick, like within 5 minutes, we were only up like 6 or 7. So, they came out real quick in that third quarter. But just to be able to see that as a young guy, that's something that you'll never forget. And that's something that, I could, think about, reflect on going throughout my career. How, things might not be going well right now, but we can turn this thing on at any time. And that's what they did. And that's how they were able to win so much. They had the chemistry. Obviously, they had Jordan, but, that's how they were able to win so much.
Well, for your first 2 seasons with Golden State, they didn't make it to the postseason.
Right.
The second year, they had a 30-52 record.
Mm-hmm.
So explain what happened, because were you offered an $80 million deal with the Warriors at that point?
No. I've been happy to answer that question for years. And no, I was never offered $80 million from the Warriors at that time. We were still in the contract negotiations with the Warriors when I got traded. So there was no offer. There was anything substantial like that that they offered. So no, I was never offered that much. I think the most they ever came to the table with maybe was 50 or 60 at that time. But I felt at the time that I was, worth more and wanted to try and play my hand and play my cards somewhere else.
Okay, so you get traded to the 76ers.
Right.
Now, Latrell Sprewell choking the coach, did that happen after you left?
No, that was part of the blow up. Because, they felt they had to bring in new faces. all around, from team-wise to organization-wise to coaching-wise. So that was kind of part of the blow-up, the start of the blow-up. So I was there. I witnessed that firsthand. And as a young guy, that's something that sticks with you for a while.
Right. Because Muggsy Bogues was on the team also.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I interviewed him about this. He said that he was playing with him and everything seemed cool, and I guess the coach kept messing with Sprewell, and Sprewell just choked him right there in front of everybody. Okay, so you're actually at Golden State when the whole choking thing happened with Sprewell?
Yeah, I was there. Just got there a week. I was only there a week, and all this thing transpired. We kind of,
Were you in the gym when that happened?
Well, me and Spree was shooting. Me and Spree was on the other end shooting, doing our rapid fire drill, and where PJ came down and told Priest to put something on the effing pass on Muggsy. And me and Spree just looked like, what is he talking about? And then he come back, and then he's put a little explicit behind it, put something on the bucket pass to Muggsy. And I guess Spree just had enough of it. And, then all of a sudden he just slammed the ball. What the fuck are you talking? I'm tired of you fucking with me or effing with me. And then escalated from there. And then, but yeah, so yeah, I was there.
Actually, it was, we were doing shooting drills. So it was myself, Muggsy, and Spree at the same basket. So, so yeah, that's exactly how it happened. Muggsy, I mean, we were all just doing shooting drills. And I think PJ said something like, Spree, you're not going hard enough or something like that. And Spree would reply like, I'm going as hard as the passes are coming to me. And it was just built up from there.
Right. I mean, Sprewell got suspended for 68 games.
Yeah. That was, I mean, Spree and I, we're close. And, it started back then. So to see that and see a friend, not a teammate, a friend, go through something like that was kind of, let me know this is really a business. This is not a sport. This is really a business, and they're going to do whatever they can to protect this business. And that's when I started realizing how much of a business it was.
I mean, did you guys have a conversation after that where he tried to explain what was going through his mind to do that? Because like I said, I mean, almost the entire season he got suspended.
Yeah. And the thing about, I mean, we talked briefly about it, but it's something that I didn't want to, continue to bring up with him. But I mean, the thing about it is Spree was having a great season. I mean, I think of a couple games he went over 40, and I think we were maybe, when it happened, I think we were maybe less than 10 games in, but he had a couple 40-point games. He had a few 30-point games. He and I were behind Jordan and Pippen as far as his highest scoring duo in the league at that time. And we had something special going at that moment. So when that happened, that kind of, that messed our team up, messed the chemistry up. And, we couldn't get it back together from that point on.
Okay, so now you're playing with the 76ers with your old friend, Allen Iverson.
Oh, yeah. That's funny because that's something we always talked about when we were kids, being on the same team in the NBA one day.
Okay. What was it like to actually play with AI during that era?
It was fun. I mean, it was like a lot of people will have to get used to him, playing alongside of him, but it was something that I did, for years before. So I knew how to play alongside of him. I knew how to operate along with him. I knew how to get my attempts whenever, I needed to. And it was just a lot of fun to be on the same team with somebody that you grew up with, somebody that you played with as a kid, and you shared the same dream with. And it was amazing. We both still, smile and chuckle about it when we talk about it to this day. Because the fact that we talked about it as kids and it eventually came true.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've talked to a lot of players who played against AI. And what they all pretty much said was that, I mean, look, he wasn't the tallest guy,
Nope.
wasn't the strongest guy, but he was the most relentless on the court the entire time. He would not take a break. He was at 100 the whole game. Is that a fair assessment?
That's very fair. And that's what I tell people all the time, that in that same way that they say he played in the NBA is the same way he played as a kid. So he just, from his childhood all the way through the NBA, that was his game. And imagine as a child, he was a lot smaller than what he was, with the Sixers. But he was relentless. He hated to lose, wanted to do whatever he could to win. And like I said, I had a lot of fun playing alongside of him from a childhood all the way through the NBA.
Okay, and that next year was the NBA lockout.
Right.
So you had to sit by and kind of go through all that. Mm-hmm. And then you got traded to the Timberwolves.
Now, I was a free agent.
Okay, you were a free agent.
Yep, I was a free agent and signed with the Timberwolves.
Signed with the... Okay, my bad. My bad, sorry.
Yeah, I was a free agent that year. Signed with the Timberwolves. Actually, they had, the year before, they had Tom Gugliotta, who was playing the 4 position. And he ended up signing with the Phoenix Suns. So they were looking for somebody to replace him at the 4 position, and I felt it was a great opportunity, great place for me to go play alongside, Kevin Garnett, someone who, I had developed a pretty good relationship with, and someone, another player that I always wanted to play alongside of after we got drafted.
Well, there's a lot of controversy over your situation with the Timberwolves.
Correct.
Tell me about it.
There was a under the table deal done with my agent and with the organization, and without me being involved. And but I eventually ended up having to pay the penalty. But I mean, it was an under the table deal. That one was, I guess, worth $80 million. And that's if they be getting the contracts confused, but I think that one's supposed to be around the $80 million mark. And things happened with it was a partnership, 2 agents that were partners, and things happened with the partnership where they were splitting and going their separate ways, and they had to go to court and gotta get their situation settled and get their situation. See what players go here and what players go with the other agent, and it came out in court, and from one of the agents that deal was done and that deal was under the table, and all of a sudden now it's out in the media, and I'm having to deal with the consequences from the NBA as far as they gave me a choice. Either I can sign back with Minnesota and miss the entire year, or I can sign with somebody else and then play that year out. And if I wanted to, I can come back to Minnesota. So I ended up signing with Detroit as a free agent, signing with the Pistons. And then after I played that season with the Pistons, I came back and played with Minnesota because, I loved it up there in Minnesota. Good team, good organization, good coaching. And we were putting something together, a winning situation together that was real fitting for me and my career.
Well, right. So I want to just add a few tidbits of information to what you just said. So you signed 3 one-year contracts for less than $3 million a piece.
Right.
And the deal was to basically have your bird rights, meaning that at the end of that 3rd term, you'd get paid as much as $86 million. And this all came out. And the NBA just lost it.
Yes.
David Stern fined the team $3.5 million. He voided all your contracts. Taylor couldn't even have a role in the Timberwolves operation, the owner, until August 31st, 2001. They forced McHale to take an unpaid leave until July 31st, 2001. But then there was more serious consequences. The Timberwolves didn't have first-round draft picks for 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, and 2005, although 2003 and 2005 were ultimately returned. This was really like a big deal in the NBA.
Oh yeah, it was a big deal. For it to come out the way it did, and for the protection that the NBA is trying to have against stuff like that. You know, we hear about something. Sometimes, you know, we hear about things that may go on under the table or behind closed doors. But if there's no proof or if anything like that, then you know you can't really punish or do anything. But my agents, they kept proof that they distributed to the court, and so there was nothing that they could say or that they could do to hide it.
Yeah. Okay, so then in 2001, you got married to Yolanda Smith.
Mm-hmm.
You guys had 3 kids?
We had 2 biologically, and she had a daughter when we met, and I adopted her.
Got it. Because you have 6 kids total. Did the other kids come before or after?
During.
Yeah,
that's why I said we live and learn.
Okay, so then in 2003, you signed with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Right.
How was that like?
Milwaukee was another good place. When I first got there, I really didn't know what to expect. We had some young talent on the team, and had one of the best shooters in Michael Redd, you know, in the NBA at that point. T.J. Ford was our point guard. Desmond Mason was a 3. But, I mean, we had a pretty good team. We made the playoffs one of those years, and lost to Detroit the year they went to the finals with Chauncey Billups, Rashid, and those guys, Ben Wallace, and those guys. But I mean, every stop, man, it was a blessing. I was doing what I love to do, playing the game of basketball, which is my sanctuary. So I mean, I enjoyed learning the different cultures and different cities and different states that I played in, and so my career, even though I did jump around a lot, you know, I feel it was very productive out there on the floor.
Right, because in 2006, you got traded to the Nuggets. Mm-hmm. You played 11 games, and then you got traded back to the 76ers. Right, yeah, and they traded Allen Iverson during that trade as well. So it's like you guys are playing musical chairs here.
Yeah, I mean, after a while, it's not nothing that you want to get used to, but, you know, after a while you understand, and after learning and figuring out the business of the game of basketball, you kind of get adapted to it. You know, spend a lot of nights in hotels, you know, being traded, spent a lot of nights, you know, traveling, spent a lot of, like my first trade, like for instance, I got traded from the Warriors to Philadelphia. We were in Portland, and it was one of those ones where, you know, kind of was a surprise trade. It was on a game day in Portland, and I usually take a nap on game day. So I'm waking up from my nap, I turn on ESPN, and at the bottom of the ticker, I see my name, myself, Brian Shaw, Jimmy Jackson coming from Philly to Golden State, and I just see the trade. I'm like, what the heck? I'm supposed to be getting ready for this game tonight, and like 2 minutes later, I get a call from my agent, you know, saying that you just been traded. I was like, yeah, I just seen it at the bottom of the ticker. But yeah, I mean, things happen fast, and sometimes, you know, the people, we don't get to enjoy our careers because things happen so fast. But that's something I was always trying to do, and that's something I always wanted to do. Enjoy the places I am, and realize I'm still in the NBA.
Right, because then in 2007 you get traded to the Bulls.
Chicago was another one, and I think I was only there for maybe 2 months as well, a couple of months, and I had a lot of in-season trades, so I had a lot to pick up a lot of different systems throughout my career on the fly, and that wasn't an easy thing to do as well.
Right, because then you get traded to the Cavaliers, and then you get traded to the Thunder.
To the Thunder. Yep. You know, a lot of those trades, like some trades were made because the other team, you know, needed a player of my stature, needed a player that can do what I do out there on the floor. And a lot of the trades were made because I was somebody that can, somebody that with value that can be traded for, you know. So and when people ask me about how I feel about being traded so many times, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah. So at the Thunder, you're playing with Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
What was that like during that time?
We sucked, so to see. So it, so it was tough, but I mean, but playing alongside Kevin, and it was Kevin's second year, Russell's first year, rookie year. So, you know, playing alongside both of those guys, man, and seeing the type of energy that they brought to practice, that they brought to the game, and you know, being able to, you know, give them some of the, because at that point, you know, I was a veteran, and you know, I've been around a while, and so I knew I had a little bit of influence and input on what to expect, and you know, just being able to, you know, translate that to them, and you know, give them as much feedback and input on their game that kind of helped them out throughout their career. You know, that's something that I can always look back on. Like Kevin used to always ask me about, because when we shoot sometimes in games, I used to always get and ones on my jump shot. And he's always like, how you get and ones on your jump shot all the time? So, you know, just stuff like that, you know, that little tricks of the trade that you can give them.
Well, that next year, 2009, was like a whirlwind of trades for you. You got traded from the Thunder to the Hornets for Tyson Chandler, but then Chandler failed his physical, so the trade was rescinded. So you went back
right
to the Thunder. But then you ended up getting traded to the Cavaliers.
Right.
And then you get traded to the Atlanta Hawks.
That was the following year.
Following year. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
To the Hawks, yeah. I signed with the Hawks as a free agent.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, so that the trade with Charlotte, that never went through, so I didn't have to go there. So that's not on my record, I don't think. But yeah, so that never went through. But yeah, from Oklahoma, the thing about it is I was at the point in my career where Sam Presti, the general manager with the Thunder, you know, he didn't want to send me to a team where, you know, didn't have a championship shot. So for him to put together a plan to get me back to Cleveland that year, you know, I really appreciate that. You know, we talked about it before the trade. He told me that, you know, he had a couple options on the table. And, you know, we kind of weighed the options, and I was, you know, hoping that he could get me back to Cleveland, and he pulled the strings to get me back to Cleveland and to give me that shot to win the title. So at that point in my career, it was a great move because, like I said, we weren't having a successful career down in Oklahoma City. We were struggling.
Well, right. And then in 2010, you became the 92nd player ever to have played 1,000 games.
I was the 92nd?
92nd player in NBA history to play 1,000 games.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's teaching me something new now.
That's a lot of games,
what
man.
Year was
1,000 games. This was 2010. When you guys beat the Nets.
Yeah, okay. Oh, wow. Where's my ball? They ain't give me my 1,000, my 1,000 game ball.
Right. And you ended up playing for the Nets.
Yes.
For how long?
Just a half a year. I went half a year before I got traded to the Lakers. So after I played my year in Atlanta, I finished out the year in Atlanta. I signed with the Knicks as a free agent, spent half the season there, and then was traded to the things weren't looking well. And once again, like in Oklahoma. So they traded me to the Lakers to have another opportunity at, you know, winning a championship.
Okay, so now you join the LA Lakers.
Yeah.
With Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
As well as Matt Barnes. That's my man. He's been on my show a few times.
Oh,
Ron
yeah,
Artest.
Matt's a good guy.
I've interviewed him. Lamar Odom. I've interviewed him. I mean, but you're playing with Kobe at this point.
Oh, yeah.
What was different with Kobe than other players you played with?
I think he had a different hunger. I mean, we all see it and we all can, kind of tell, but like it was from I played with Kevin Garnett, I played with Kevin Durant, I played with LeBron twice, I played with AI, and his hunger was different. And I can't put a finger on what it was, but it's just his will not to lose was just different. I mean, he come in and just instruct how he instruct practice, how he goes through practice, his knowledge of the game and what he expects defenses to do to him. So he's prepared when he sees it out there on the floor. I mean, there's a whole different preparation that he has for the game that you see anywhere else.
Did you guys form a relationship?
A little bit. I mean, we talked in practice. He kind of put me under his wing to kind of help explain the triangle offense to me when I first got there, and kind of the defensive schemes and how they kind of operate around there. And so we developed a little bit of a friendship.
Well, your first game for the Lakers was a train wreck.
Was a who?
A train wreck.
A train wreck?
Yeah, you guys lost 85 to 104 to the Grizzlies.
Yeah,
that was your debut with the Lakers.
I don't even think I played that night though.
No, you did.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, because in the blowout then.
Yeah.
I might have got the cleanup minutes.
Yeah, exactly. They put you at the end there. Yeah.
I had no effect on the game.
Right. So I'm just saying, but that was how you debuted for the Lakers, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a tough way to debut, though. Especially when you ship to a team that, is supposed to be a title contender. That's a tough debut right there.
Right. Well, 2 days later, you scored your first point as a member of the team, and then, you did your thing with the team. But then in 2011, the NBA lockout happened.
Right.
Did you think you were going to get picked up by another team after it was over?
Actually, before the lockout, I was kind of hopeful. The lockout actually, it was just in discussion throughout the summer. And then, before the summer. So I'm hoping that, we could get a deal done where we didn't have to have the lockout. Because I knew that, I was 36 at the time. And, I knew I was, getting up there in age. And, after the lockout, it'll be hard for me to find a job, as a player in the league at that point. So I was hoping we didn't have the lockout, and I think I would have had a better shot. But once we had the lockout, I knew my numbers of getting picked up was low. The way things go in the lockout is everybody, once the lockout is over, signings and, transactions happen so quick that usually the older guys get kind of pushed out. It happened the first lockout, I think it was my third year. I saw that happen to a lot of the veteran players that got pushed out, and it happened again. And, this time I was on the other end of it. So, but I was hopeful to play another year or two, but unfortunately it didn't work out for me.
Well, yeah, during your career, you played for 12 NBA teams.
Yeah.
Which makes you one of the most diverse players in terms of...
I like how you phrase that.
Yeah, in terms of team experience of all time. Did you consider playing overseas?
I didn't. Once I retired, that was it. I was dealing with knee issues like my last 3 years, maybe 4 years, 4 years in the NBA. I was dealing with a left knee issue that was kind of drastically getting worse as a year in and year out. So once I retired, that was it for me. I didn't want to go overseas to play. I was looking to kind of get into some coaching or broadcasting after that.
In my last interview with Gilbert Arenas, I talked to him about what it was like to retire from the NBA.
It sucks.
He had a ton of money. He was young, great shape. good looking, you know,
Right.
the world was in his hands, but he said he just went into a deep depression. He said that he would drive places and choose the longest route you could possibly choose in order to just kill time.
Right.
Because he was just so used to being in the mode of, okay, the season's about to start, I'm about to get training,
Right.
et cetera, and suddenly all that's taken away. What does a retiree, a 32-year-old retiree who's worth $100 million spend their days over the next year or two?
Trying to find out who the fuck he is. Miserable.
Really? You were miserable.
Yeah. What I did when I first, retired, I had to try to figure out how to be busy between 9 o'clock and 12. And then it's lunchtime, then I go to sleep, and then about 5 o'clock to 8, be busy again. So what I caught myself doing, not even noticing, not even really understanding it. I'm driving from Calabasas all the way to downtown.
Just to kill time.
Just to kill time. In traffic, just listen to music, got a fucking playlist. Trying to, you know how it's all right, take this route for shorter, I'm taking the longest route. Right? Just driving to downtown, driving back. By the time I get back, it's noon. Fucking lunchtime. Go get some lunch. Go on my TV, pass out, wake up, do it again. I spent a year driving in traffic.
Did you go through that kind of depression?
I definitely did. I went through a deep, deep depression, and still to this day kind of dealing with it a little bit. But like Gilbert said, man, it's like you feel like your world just stops for a while. You go, because this is something we've been doing our whole life, from kids, going to games, coming, traveling and playing the game of basketball, something we love to do. And for it to just stop, I'm quite sure he wanted to play another year or two as well. And unfortunately, the business of basketball, kind of cuts things short for you. And what I went through was major. And I don't want to get into the details because I kind of get emotional, but I went through a real deep, tough depression, and I got stuck there for a while. And like I say, I'm still fighting my way out of it, to this day, but things are, I feel better than what I did when I first stopped playing.
Well, that same year, that's when you and your wife got divorced?
And that was piled on top of it as well. So it was real instant for me. Because I tell people, as soon as the ball stopped bouncing, I was in the court, getting a divorce. And, and at that time I felt like, I let my kids down. I was, letting my family down, and, I put all that on my shoulders because I take a lot of blame for a lot of stuff, that, a lot of decisions and a lot of things that happened in my life. I'm quick to take the blame. I never point the finger at anybody else. So I put a lot of pressure on myself, and that kind of helped spiral it down the way it did.
Well, you had 3 kids outside your marriage?
4.
4 kids outside your marriage.
Yeah.
You got to hand it to your wife by sticking with you during 4 kids. Most women wouldn't take 1 kid. She stood through 4. Wasn't there a situation where the girl that you were messing with started posting pictures of you two together on Twitter or something like that?
No, they posted a picture when I was asleep. Yeah, so she actually sent it to her.
Mm.
Yeah, so it was something I'm not proud of, and it's something that I vowed to never put myself in that situation again. And I apologized to her like a million times, and I know how bad it hurt her. So That's why I say I understood. I was very understanding to her feelings, to how she reacted, and it sent me spiraling.
Was that picture the final straw, or was it the kids outside the marriage?
The picture.
Mm.
The picture was the final straw because she was, we was having our issues, but I mean, we were willing to kind of try to work it out at that time. And that happened. So that kind of pushed her over the edge and she was like, I can't do it no more.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have a son, Amir Smith, who's playing in Europe right now.
My son with my wife is Cameron.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My
Amir
bad.
is my other son.
Okay.
And he's playing, he was overseas for 3 years. He's back in the States now. He played in slam ball this summer. If anybody's familiar with slam ball out there, he was on the Slashers. He played on slam ball, and he's just enjoying himself, man, with the game of basketball and loving what he's doing.
Well, during the course of your career, you made $61 million.
Mm-hmm.
And you've said that after taxes and fees from agents and so forth, it netted to about $18 million.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this, how when you would go and get traded from city to city, you would actually buy a house in that city, and then you'd have to sell the house after you got traded?
No, I wouldn't buy, not in every city. I bought a house I bought my mom's house in Virginia, bought a house in the Bay, and I bought a house in Milwaukee. The other places, I was only there for short periods of time, so I was just staying in a hotel, or if I did find a place, it was just an apartment or something to rent. But those are 3 houses that I bought and lost a lot of money trying to get them off my hands. So that's where the issue came in on the other end too. I didn't make anything off the houses once I had to sell them.
Right. And I guess you had a Bentley, 2 Range Rovers, a Corvette.
2 Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the costly divorce on top of all that.
That's what really cost me. I laugh about it now, but that's what really cost me, the divorce. Left me with not much at all. So that's where the bulk of my retirement money went, right there in the divorce.
How much that divorce cost you?
Over half of what I had. And I want to say close to 3 million. 3 million, close to that. And left me with a lot less than that.
Right, because you ended up $157,000 in debt after all the dust settled?
Right. And that's from, we had a place in Vegas that we, actually I forgot about that place. Yeah, we had, at the Signature Hotel in Vegas, we had 2 places on the 38th floor, 2 suites up there that we bought. And we really lost out on that when we got rid of it. So that was most of that 100 plus thousand.
Yeah, I mean, I always would tell people, I just recently bought a house, but for all of these years I've been making money, I was just renting.
Right.
Rent a house, because I'm like,
Right.
I'm not quite sure where I'm going to be. The housing market is not all it's cracked up to be.
Right.
People think that,
Fluctuates.
there's only so much land in the world. Every house makes money. No, it's not true. I've lost money on
That's
selling
not true
homes,
at all.
or I've broken even at best.
Right.
I've never made money off real estate, to be honest.
Right.
And I'm on my 3rd property now. I've never made money, and I knew with this new house, it's not an investment. It's just a place to live.
Right. So it's home now.
It's just home. Exactly. So, I mean, it sounds crazy from the outside looking in, but as someone who actually has money, I'm like, no, this actually makes sense. What he went through, like anyone could have gone through these situations between a divorce, all the taxes you got to pay, selling homes that you lose money on, a bunch of cars that you lose money on when you finally get rid of them.
Exactly. Yep.
And just living your life and, being an NBA star and balling out here and there. Like, yeah, it could all be gone very quickly.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
And that's something that, that's something that you're, as a 19, 20-year-old, you're not expecting. Like you said, when you're that young, you're thinking it's just going to keep going and keep lasting forever. But to all the future NBA, NFL players out there, man. Just know that you have to be aware and watch every dime, every nickel, every penny.
No, absolutely. I mean, I interviewed Andre Rison.
Mm-hmm.
He lost it all.
Right.
And so if you're getting it, you're going to spend it. You know, black people wasn't taught how to save money. They said 40 acres and a mule, but what we forgot is that we were the mule, and the 40 acres is every step that you take towards it. And so I've never had nothing in life. And so that's why I've given away $6 million just to people, just to help from houses. I've purchased Vlad.
You know, ended up on ESPN 30 for 30 broke.
Right.
Which I used to rewatch because I've went broke before.
Mm-hmm.
I had a bunch of money and then the .com crash happened. My company got wiped out and then boom.
Right.
I'm sleeping on couches, you know, instead of living in the Oakland Hills where I was, you know, a year previous. Like, yeah, no, I get it, man. I get it.
I'm not here. Hills?
Yeah, I had a house in Montclair actually at one point.
Oh, really? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I was up.
Yeah, I grew up in the Bay.
I was up in the hills too. I was up by the high school up there, by Gary's house.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Shout out to Gary Payton. I've interviewed him as well.
Oh, yeah.
That's a Bay Area legend right there.
Yes, that's indeed.
So your career ends, you get a divorce, you start dating Monique Slaughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've interviewed Monique before. She's an interesting one. So at some point, you find out that she had forged 9 checks.
Right.
Totaling $109,000.
Right.
Which she wrote to a man he didn't know named Timothy Carr.
Mm-hmm.
Timothy, when this all came out, he said that Monique was a friend and she didn't have a bank account, so he was doing her a favor.
Right.
But then the last check ended up getting canceled.
Yep.
And he couldn't get his money back. At one point, he even said he got robbed at gunpoint and said that Monique was involved in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that part of the story.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he tried to get a restraining order. He couldn't get it. It was very much of a mess.
Wow.
I guess she was also dating Akon at the time. The whole thing is crazy.
Yeah, it's a whole.
So, from your point of view, what happened?
From my point of view, I get a call from my financial advisor. This is like you said, after I retired. So they could see the money being withdrawn quickly now because it's not as much in there as it would be before. So I get a call from my financial advisor, and she's asking me, why am I writing all these checks? Or I'm like, what checks are you talking about? She was like, because I don't write checks. Back then, I didn't write checks. I either use my card or I get cash. I didn't write checks, but I had checks in my nightstand by the bed. So she was like, she's talking about, when did you start writing all these checks? I'm like, what checks? She was like, so she took photos of it, sent me the photos. She was like, these checks. So I look at them. I'm like, I didn't write these checks. That's not my handwriting. And she was like, I didn't think so. She was like, and you never write checks. So I was like, why? That's what really alarmed me, because you never write checks. And so I started doing my research and find out that it was her. I had a private eye, track the bank, go to the banks, and they come back with the photographs of her at the bank teller, handing the checks over to the, cashing the checks at the bank. And so immediately I go to try to file charges. But in LA, they wouldn't allow me to file charges because they said it's a he say, she say matter, because she was saying that I gave her blank checks to write the checks. And, I'm coming in saying that I've never given her checks. So they saying they couldn't bring a charge or they couldn't charge her with anything because it's he said, she said. So I couldn't get anything back from it. So it was just total loss. And to this day, I haven't seen $1 back from it. And I don't expect $1 back from it. But I mean, that's just how it went down and how it happened. She went in my drawers, when I was either at practice or when I was left the house, got the checks out and started signing checks and started filling checks out and started taking them to the bank.
Well, I don't get this part. I mean, if you give someone a blank check and you sign it and they fill in the amount, that's one thing. But
Right.
if it's not,
But
if it's
these are
not your if it's not your signature,
Nothing.
like how do you not? How is this not a crime if it's not your signature?
And we did the comparison. We did everything. The signature comparisons with my signature and the signature that was on the checks. We did all of that. And they still wouldn't bring charges up on it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. That's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I lost that 109,000 just right after the divorce, after you lose, so much in the divorce and then you turn around and that get hit like that. So.
Yeah. I mean, she claimed that you knew about it and you basically, this was like after you broke up, you try to kind of retaliate against her.
I had no idea until my financial people reached out to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, I interviewed Dwayne Curry, who's transgender. Do you know who that is? Do you know who that is?
I don't think so, no.
Dwayne, I mean, she was featured on Trap Queens on BET.
Oh, no.
She actually was kind of a scammer herself, but I guess she was living with Moniece Slaughter, and she said Moniece would start messing with her probation officer, and then she snitched on her, and it's just like a lot of messiness when it comes to Moniece.
It was definitely a relationship formed between my probation officer and her.
Oh.
And so that's where the tip-off comes from.
So Moniece
She
Slaughter,
had the nerve to sit up there when they came up into the house and they showed pictures of my friend, Lacey, and we were both in the halfway house together, and both federal felons are not even supposed to be in contact. And this girl, my friend, used to sit up there and watch her son. And soon as they pull the pictures out, and I'm sitting right there with her. I'm sitting right there. I'm watching her. And we, like, on the couch. When the people come in. Because they said it's not no warrant for your arrest. We just have to search the premises. Usually them motherfuckers be coming to get you, right? So they want to see if what she had to say is factual. They pulled the pictures out and they showed them pictures. Oh yeah, that's Lacey. She be over all the time. Violation. Boom.
So you get sent back to prison over that.
Yes.
For how long?
2 years.
Have you ever talked to Moniece after this?
For what?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah.
about right.
Okay. Was it after Moniece that you and Kisha started a date?
Yes. Yeah. After the situation there, that's when I met Kisha.
She brought some stability to your life, basically.
Exactly. Yes.
Got it. Okay. And by 2015, you actually started a coaching business.
Joe Smith Basketball Academy, skills and development training. I started that actually when we were still in California. I had a couple kids out there that I was training, a couple girls, I think like 2 boys that I was training out there, getting it started. When we moved from California to Georgia, I picked it up and was, just wanted to keep it going in Georgia as well.
Well, in 2018, A-Rod had a TV show that he featured you on. And I guess at the time, you only had $3,000 in the bank. And he basically worked with you on the show to essentially try to build up your business and get your income higher.
Right.
How hard was that to be making so many, tens of millions of dollars, and now you only have $3,000? And were you in debt at that time also, or no?
Yes.
So you were in debt and you only had $3,000 to your name. Pretty much a low point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very low point. And
Yeah.
like I said, Like when I say I was in a deep, deep, deep depression, like mentally messed up, I'm telling you, I was there. And, but I mean, that TV show, I thought would help more with, the stuff that they was, saying that they would do and saying that, they would help me with. And, but once we finished shooting, that was it. I couldn't get in touch with anybody at the TV show. Whenever I had an issue at the gym, I couldn't get in touch with nobody that said that, to give them a call if I had issues. And, so I was kind of just left out to dry after that show was aired.
I mean, in retrospect, do you regret doing that show?
I don't, because I got a lot of feedback from people that went through what I went through. And so, they were very understanding, and they were giving me input and insight on what I could possibly do to kind of alleviate a little bit of that. So, I mean, I don't. And for us to be able to get out there and tell our story, I think is, as athletes, I think that's something that's, especially when we go through a situation like this, I think that's something that we have to do for the next generation.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before. Being a professional athlete is such a double-edged sword because everyone wants to do it. You get into it, you make tons of money, but unlike almost every other career, it only goes for a few years.
Right.
And you're a young man by the time your career ends.
Yeah.
And you have many years to live, and there's no real, map or blueprint as to what to do when you're done. Yeah, you could go into sportscasting if you get picked.
Right.
If you have the personality for it. And there's only a few slots for that.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, you could get into coaching if you get picked, if you have a skill for that. But in general, you're really left out to dry. And most athletes go broke a few years after leaving whatever league they're in, because there really is no roadmap as to what to do. And like I said, you're still young.
Right.
You're in your 30s or 40s at best, with half your life still left without any real income. I mean, did you get a pension?
It hasn't kicked in yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so I'm saying all these years you don't have a pension,
right,
and you have to kind of figure it out. Whereas if you're, I don't know, you work for a law firm, there's a career path. Mm-hmm. You go into the business world, there's a career path. By the time you're in your 50s, you're making the height of your income.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have all the connections. You're now a senior manager or a VP or a director or maybe even the president of your company. But sports almost works backwards. It's like in the middle, you're at your height, and then you start a decline, and then you're gone, and then you gotta figure it out.
You got life. Life ahead of you. Yeah.
You got life ahead of you. Not everybody is Kobe, who's sitting on $500 million and is like, oh, I'm going to go make an Oscar-winning film with all the best producers. Like, you have all these investments that are coming to you. Like, not everyone is Shaq, who has so much money where it just doesn't matter what they do.
Right.
Everyone else has to fend for themselves, and you're an example of this.
Mm-hmm. No question. And that's another reason why I didn't mind sharing my story on that, that TV show, because it's happened before me, probably is going to happen again after. But for me to be able to share my story, some of these other guys, be able to share their stories, what they did wrong, what they feel they did wrong, and how they feel they blew through their money, then that's something, we should be open to share. That's something we should want to give to the next generation. And the thing about what I like nowadays is, you have more guys, more players kind of involved with one another that are kind of making things happen. Back then, all of us, we'll go out, season's over, we go our separate ways, may not communicate with one another to the next season or something like that. But now, you have guys like LeBron, you have guys like Steph, who just signed one of the Sacramento Kings to his shoe company. You got guys that's willing to give back and help out other players and that are in the league with them right now. So that's a trend that I hope is trending in the right direction.
Well, yeah. I mean, every athlete I've ever interviewed, I've always tried to ask this question. I said, look, in the locker room, you were looking at hundreds of millions of dollars in that room, right? Yeah, some people have more than others, but everyone's a millionaire in this room.
Right.
And some people are, approaching billionaire status. How many, when I ask how many times do the players in that room have conversations about business, about investment, about long-term planning, about retirement? All of them have said never. They'll talk about the car they just got.
Yep.
They'll talk about the house they just copped.
Yep.
But no one's talking about financial literacy when that's what you should be talking about, because you guys are all peers. And at one point, everyone's income from that NBA league is going to end.
Exactly.
But no one ever talks about it, and you're co-signing what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it never comes up. And if it does, it's a short conversation, maybe somebody asking for someone's information, but that's it. But I mean, it's never talked about. And it's rare, like I say, it's rare that you have players that come together and for business purposes. And that's something I feel that that needs to happen more, and that we're seeing a little bit more with this generation now. Like I said, with LeBron and Steph and those guys, KD and those guys kind of leading the way for this next generation. But for the most part, before then, it rarely happened. It rarely happened where you get in there and you discuss a business plan that someone might have going on, or discuss some type of way to investment that you might think someone's interested in. That's something that never happened in a locker room, on a plane, rides, anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. And listen, LeBron was going to be fine regardless. You know what I mean? Steph is going to be fine regardless.
The way he's showing and trying to kind of pulling these younger guys under his wing and showing these guys that don't just go out here blowing your money on cars and stuff. I'm gonna show you another way, to use your money and make your money work for you.
I mean, just as simple as putting your money in the S&P 500, like a very mindless investment. Something I learned early on when I had money. Just that type of information being put out there. Like, listen, take all your money, put it in the S&P 500. Don't invest in your friend who's starting the record label. Don't put your money in this multi-unit property that this guy you just met is trying to get you to invest in.
Right.
Like, invest conservatively. So by the time you're done, that money will grow, because the S&P 500 has always grown over time.
Yes.
But these types of conversations aren't out there, and it's really too bad, because you have these young men who suddenly get dropped from the league, and then they don't know what to do. And ultimately, you have depression, you have bad decisions, you have women like Monique taking advantage of you, and ultimately they're the ones who really take all the damage.
Right. And that's when you realize, that's what people don't understand and realize. I mean, one thing, even through this situation right now, that I'm going through at home with my wife, it's, we don't understand the type of influence that we have, around the world. And I haven't been in the media, or I haven't been in the social eye in a long time. And just for my name to be attached to this and see this thing blow up the way it is, it's something that we all have to realize as players, that when people see us and people make judgment, or people want to be affiliated with us, we have to be real careful. We have to be real careful, because any small thing, it's not going to be whoever that person's name is in the headlines. It's going to be ours. So that's one thing that I'm really getting out of this, even though I haven't been in the public eye in years.
Well, Joe Smith, I'm sorry that we had to do our first interview under this circumstance.
Oh man, it's all
You know, because you've had an exceptional career.
I appreciate
a long career. You know, you played with some of the all-time greats. But ultimately, this just becomes a part of your story, and you'll be surprised how many men have gone through similar things with their woman.
Right.
You know, they just don't talk about it. It's not all over ESPN and Twitter right now, but everyone's been betrayed in some way by someone very close to them, by their wife or their girlfriend or their boyfriend or husband or whatever else.
Right.
But we just don't get to hear about it. So as much as people are running their mouth and, you know, taking shots at you, 99% of those people have gone through something similar in their own life. And ultimately, after the dust settles, you're going to see a lot more compassion and understanding and people approaching you and saying, thank you. You know, watching you go through it made me feel a little bit better about what I went through.
Right.
And like I said in the very beginning, regardless of whether you choose to stay, you know, or divorce, it's a unique relationship, and it's a marriage, and it's a partnership. And the only thing that matters is what you two decide amongst each other. And nobody could give you advice as to what to do. Not me, not your family, not the internet, not your friends, not you know.
Right.
Nobody. You guys have to decide what's best for you. You know, I've seen all types of very, you know, left field kind of relationships. You know, like my friend Adam 22, you know, he does adult scenes with his wife, and she just did a scene with another man. You know what I mean? They made millions of dollars off this scene.
Right.
And people are calling him a cuckold and whatever else. And he's like, man, I'm not tripping. You know, we're all good with it. I don't care what everyone else says. We're good. We're in a loving, committed relationship. You know, what committed means to them, and it doesn't matter. And I think that once you actually own that and don't try to avoid it or run from it and just accept it for what it is, then you could actually figure out what the next step that actually works for you is. Not what other people think should work for you, but what works for you and what works for Kisha, whatever that may be. And whatever you guys decide, just know I'll be very supportive of your decision.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Joe, man, I appreciate you coming in, man. Wish you all the best. I'm looking to see it. Personally, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be 100. Personally, I think that things are going to be improving for you as opposed to decreasing for you because of this. Because when they say all publicity is good publicity, I believe that's true. And once the dust settles, a lot more people know who you are. You're going to get a lot more opportunities. I mean, this interview is an example of one of those opportunities.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. People are going to remember who you are, and there's going to be business opportunities, social opportunities, or whatever else just because you're now in the public eye. And I think ultimately when you look back on this a year or two later, you're going to be like, yeah, it was rough during the time, but I'm actually glad it happened.
Right.
So that's what it is. I know, man. It's tough. I know. Right now, listen, I mean, you know, I'm a public figure as well. I've had situations where people try to cancel me and everything else like that. And it's rough during the time because you feel like everyone's turning against you. Your friends are turning against you. They're making videos about you from personal conversations. And you're like, oh, man, I thought it right, you know? I thought this was my man. Like, oh, word? Like you taking personal information out, putting it out there, and it's affecting your family and everything else like that. And it's tough when you're in the middle of it. When you look back on it, you know, when I look back on my situation, it actually, my relationships are now stronger. I now know who my real friends are. Right. I see the people that stuck by me.
Right.
You know, and those I realize are my real friends. And the people who didn't stick by me, I'm glad that a situation like that got them out of my life.
Got them out, yeah. Pushed them out.
And it caused me to kind of rethink my company and the structure. And now we have a much stronger company on top of it. So like I said, it's tough when you're going through it. But in retrospect, it usually ends up net positive.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Of course. Until next time, man. Peace.